Episode 2 of Bloody Revenge. Early morning on Sunday, I woke up and prepared for service. I also prepared something for him. I planned to visit him at the hospital before going to church, which I did. My parents left me for church, knowing I would be visiting the hospital before going to church. At the hospital, I entered his ward. I met the nurse administering some drugs on him. I asked how he was faring, but her response wasn't encouraging. At this point, I became cold. Many thoughts came through my mind. I asked myself too many questions, yet I had no answer to none. What if this man dies here? What will I do? Where will I start from? I exhaled. But yet the other mind encouraged me never to give up easily. Yet the other mind battled, and I felt Chiziterem was right. I shouldn't have involved myself in all this mess if I had listened to my friend. By now, he is supposed to be responding to treatment. But what is going on? I asked myself. Well, I still believe that God will not disappoint me. It was 7:30 already. I dropped the food and left for church. On our way back, we branched to the hospital to check up on him. The food was still the way I left it. I got discouraged the more. My friend blamed me for everything and still maintained we abandoned him there. But truthfully, my conscience would kill me. Throughout that day, I lost every appetite, which got my parents very worried. I was their only child. Of course, they wouldn't want anything to happen to me. So they encouraged me to have my food, that I have done nothing wrong by helping a life. My father promised to be with me throughout this journey because he wouldn't want anything to sadden my heart. I felt better by their words. 2 weeks later, I went to the hospital. I heard a voice from the door, but I couldn't make out the words. But within me, I knew it was either he had gained consciousness or he had kicked the bucket. I already made up my mind to face one of the two. Fortunately, as fate may have it, I met him seated, chatting with the nurse. I was marveled. This is indeed a miracle. I was so grateful to God. Nurse, this is a miracle, I said, with every excitement in me. Indeed a miracle, she said. She was the young lady I told you, said the nurse, pointing her fingers at me. She excused herself. I didn't know where to start. All I knew, I was grateful. Finally, he survived. He thanked me with a grateful heart, letting me know how the nurse has told him how helpful I had been to him. It was nothing to me. I was being more grateful to God for showing me mercy. My family took care of him until he had his feet back on the ground. Then we requested to know what happened to him. He told us how unfortunate he was to have entered a cab occupied with robbers. They robbed him of all his money by forcing him to make a transfer, beat him mercilessly, and dumped him at the junction we picked him from. He went into sober, which got my parents so emotional, and they pitied him even more than I have ever pitied him. He told us he was running for safety as robbers invaded his father's house and shot his parents dead, including the gate man. He was the only one who survived. The robbers went after him, so he fled for his life and ended up still in the wrong hands. But he was grateful that we saved him. His story was pathetic, and tears dropped down my cheeks. Even my parents, because his story reminded us a lot. According to the story, my father told me, he was born with a silver spoon and he lacked nothing. But in just a day, the devil took away everything from him. His parents, who were happily waiting for his arrival from boarding school, prepared and hosted a party to welcome him. Just in a minute, his father's heart collapsed and all died. He came back and met his parents under rods and broken blocks. This is indeed a sad story. He knelt, pleading to my father to adopt him. He didn't have anywhere to run to, no parents, and to crown it all, he has never visited his paternal or maternal home before. He was born and bred in Lagos. Upon hearing this, my parents, without hesitation, were obliged to adopt him. Wow, this was the best day of my life. I had no siblings, so if finally my father didn't reconsider and adopted him, so I will be having a brother, I was happy. I was naive. But Chiziterem, on hearing this, was displeased at my parents' acceptance to adopt him. Well, I tagged it jealousy. Maybe she desired me to wallow in tears and loneliness just like I have always been. But boom! Something happened. Follow up for episode 3.